Hello, my fellow Retrotopians, and welcome to episode 130 of the Retrotopia podcast, where this week we are talking Warcraft II, one of my favorite games of all time. But before we do that, let's have some fun. We have an introduction to do here, after all. And before we begin, please rate us 5 stars and leave a comment if you will. Even if you don't like us or you think we can do better, just give us 5 stars. And that helps us get out there to other folks, and we appreciate that. We're on social media like Instagram, Facebook. You can find all of that at linktree/Retrotopia. That's linktr.ee/Retrotopia. And we also have a merch store. If you go to retrotopia.dashery.com, use the link in the description of the podcast and find our new merch store. We're always putting new stuff on there. Someone bought a fanny pack with our design on it. That was pretty cool. So there's a lot of stuff you can mix and match. Get some booty shorts, wear those at the beach. All right, and then Patreon. That's the big one. Join for free and you get a bunch of stuff. Here's what you get. You can take part in the polls. You can chat with the hosts. So that's us. You can write in about the game of the week. You can write to the host for the week for the 9-bit banter box, which is coming up if you want a little taste of that. You can get Quick Play. That is a short review series that we publish every other week. So you can listen to those. And you get Retro Bites 15 days early with an extra topic. And now featuring more Joe, whether you like that or not. All right, join the Hero Tier. The Hero Tier is where it's at. So for just a small monthly monetary payment, you can select a game for one of us to play for a quick play. I mean just about anything. Not too long, but you know what I mean. You get no New Game Plus. That's our new game review series, which is a lot of fun, and we release those periodically. And you also get a shout out. And we have a new patron this month at the Hero Tier, the Fletchman. So welcome, Fletchman. We're glad to have you. All right, let's get things started with our general comments and questions section, the culturally elegant 9-bit banter box. All right, first comment comes from a question. No, it's a question. Brother Retro says, hot salmon cheese. I know it's too early to tell or too early to call, but who do you have in the cup this year? Stanley Cup. As much as I want my beloved Flyers to take it by storm, we all know that's highly unlikely. But I won't speak it out of existence. What say you? Yeah, don't speak it out of existence, man. Sometimes those dark horses take it. But what a year. My Ducks are finally back in the playoffs, despite being on one hell of a losing streak to end the season. If they can get it together, I like their chances against one of either the Kings or the Oilers. I think neither of those teams are quite complete teams. Neither of the Ducks, but if they draw the Avs, they're dead on arrival. But I don't think that's looking likely, but we'll have to see how the rest of the last couple games play out. But in general, I think there's a lot of fun teams in there this year, and some new ones in the mix that have been not in the playoffs for a while, like Buffalo, Ottawa. Was Ottawa in last year? I don't know, but there's some fresh teams in there from over the past few years. So there's not any that I really can't stand. Like I could do without the Lightning winning it all. But let's say, here's my prediction. I think it's kind of a bold one. We're going to say Wild Canadiens, with the Canadiens winning the cup. But we're going to see how that prediction fares. I think the Wild are going to break their first round exit streak, and the Canadiens are going to win it for Canada. All right. Sharkbite says, would you like to see a Final Fantasy RTS game? I have ideas for one and would like to hear your thoughts. Yes, that would be slick. But is that genre pretty dead? I mean, I don't think there's a lot of new RTS games coming out, unless I'm just not paying any attention to them. But as much as I love them, it seems like the turn-based is really how things are going. But it could be fun, maybe like a Warcraft-like version of Fort Condor, or maybe just like a complete sword and sorcery type RTS and like the Final Fantasy, like early Final Fantasy style. You get like the little white mages and the little black mages and the little knights and the thieves and stuff. That could be fun. Let us know what your ideas are, because now I'm intrigued. All right, Munchie says, Sam the Gaming Man, if you could create any style of video game for your other co-host to play, what would it be? That's a great question. Alan gets a 2D Sonic Metroidvania. Brian gets a game that I'm just going to call Podcast Tycoon. I would have said Game Dev Sim, but I think there is one already. And Joe gets a Pokemon Kart Racer. That'd be kind of fun, though. Maybe there's some extra bells and whistles. Like, you still level up. Like, there's still RPG elements to raising your Pokemon, but they also drive around carts. That's fun. All right. Fill Up My Mouth with Farts says, let's hoist our nerd flags together. Sam, besides our love for gaming, what other nerdy guilty pleasures do you have? Me, I'm probably too much in Magic the Gathering to be considered healthy, but who cares? I like what I like. Exactly. There are no guilty pleasures. It's all just pleasures. Just like what you like. I love Magic, but I haven't been able to play a lot or at all really for the past several years. And at this point, it's one of those things where, like, I've been out so long, I'm not sure how to break back into it. And all this secondary license stuff intimidates me. Like, now there's like Spider-Man ones and Ninja Turtle ones, and Lord of the Rings fits. But then, like, sometimes, like, they're coming out with Star Trek later. Like, it's too much, man. But music, I mean, I like lots of different kinds of music, but every now and then I go down a total rabbit hole, and right now it's prog metal and doom. So like, I made this whole list. I don't know if I'm gonna read this whole list off, but like Blood Incantation, Electric Wizard, Yob or Yob, I'm not sure how you say that. Sleep, they're really good, and then also High on Fire, Pallbearer. It should be heavy enough to make me feel like I need to poop, basically. Awesome stuff. And the songs gotta be like, you gotta have those like 12-minute long songs. Or like Sleep and have Dope Smoker, and it's like an hour and 10 minutes for one song. Good stuff. But also my undiagnosed ADHD has gotten me suddenly interested in manga. And so I'm starting down that rabbit hole with One Piece and Dragon Ball. Who knows if that's going to be a wise decision. And I've always loved vintage sci-fi paperbacks and Star Trek novels, so I got a little collection of those. Thanks, that's a good question. I love talking about that shit. All right, Rise of Hooli says, Sam, when are you going to do that quick play for 100% run of Skyrim? It's funny you mentioned that, because we did mention quick plays in the plug section up front, but man, I tell you what, if I ever figure out streaming, maybe that would be a good long form game to play on stream. But don't hold me to that. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get into streaming. All right, Big Deal says, since you're a fan of Total Recall, are you aware of the Kawato sketches Andy Samberg did on his early days of SNL? More importantly, if you had a Kawato inside of you, what couch co-op game would you want to play with it the most? I had to look that up. It's so fucked up, but it's funny. That's my kind of humor. It's kind of hard to find videos of it too. Like if you try to look up that sketch on YouTube, it's not there. Assuming my regular body also functions, because in the sketch that I saw, the main person just passed out, like a little weird baby arm version of them popped out of the front. Assuming that we're both conscious and can play, it kind of looks like Krang actually. I think we'd throw on some Shredder's Revenge. I think beat 'em ups aren't my favorite genre, but they're definitely more fun co-op, so I'd play that with my little weird stomach person. Old Man Gamer says, hello there, son of Sam. Now we heard Brian's Shart story. Now do you have a Shart story? Ugh, fuck. So you found me at last. Yeah, I have one. It's more like a full-on just like release story, but I shortly after I moved into the house I'm in now, I went for a run, and when I was like, I mean, you get out there and you're like, if you go a couple miles, like you're a couple miles from home, and if you have any distress, you're like, fuck. There was really no place for me to like go in and use the facilities, so I made it as far as I could, and then I started walking, because you know, when you're taking running steps, it kind of jars your sphincter, So that was becoming a problem, and I'm walking and trying to go as fast as I can walking, and I'm getting the cold sweats, and I make it, I actually make it home, all the way home, through the gate, right up to the front door, and then, yeah. I've told this story to my own friends, and we think that, we theorize that the closer you get to home, the more your brain kind of just checks out and is like, yep, we made it. It's like, no, we didn't, buddy. So yeah, right on the doorstep, just let it out. I threw everything away. But yeah, that was really embarrassing. Like, Jesus Christ, I'm a grown man. Anyways, yeah, it happens to all of us. Trust me, it happens to all of us. All right. Thank you for those questions. We really ended with a doozy or a duty. All right. And now time for our game show. Choose one, lose one.
Ladies and gentlemen, roll up and choose your power-up from the game of the week. You pick a power, we pick a consequence. It's choose one, lose one, the game where everyone's a loser.
All right, our first choose one, lose one comes from Brother Retro, who says, just teach me how to play the dang game. Okay, you can learn how to play Warcraft II, but you forget a vital skill, like driving. It's random what you lose, so you just have to find out. But you'll be able to play Warcraft. Munchie says, I would like to have the power of knowing what the hell exorcism power the paladins had did. If you're referring to the absolute fucking bullshit healing power they have, I hear you. I can grant you this power, but since paladins are holy or whatever, you also have to be celibate. So have fun with that. Peter Brookers says, I want the ability to make my employees go where I want with a mouse click. I love this one. Dude, careful what you wish for. You get Warcraft 2 level intelligence from your employees, so if they meet any obstacles, they might stop completely, or maybe turn around and go the longest way possible or through some dangerous areas to get where you want them to go. And when they're done with the task, they're just going to sit there. All right, Rise of Huli says, give me an army of orcs to do my bidding. Of course, but their natural enemies, the humans, are going to constantly be pestering you, and trust me, those guys are everywhere. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious says, I would like to be created by a developer known for its high-quality games and strong community engagement. EA, got it. Consider it done. The Big Deal says, I know nothing of Warcraft outside of that one episode of South Park, so I choose to watch that one episode of South Park. Okay, granted, but you have to take a Cartman level shit at some point when you're watching, just like he does with his Mom, bathroom. All right, fill up my mouth with farts says, I want minions. Minions I can send out to do my bidding and to conquer my enemies. Okay, you can build your army of minions, but part of your duties are to chop all the trees you need, and we know how slow that can be. Old Man Gamer says, yes, me lord. I would love the ability to send out peasants to collect me gold and chop me wood. You have them, you can have them, yes, but you have to build them farms. And you have to file all the permits or whatever is required in this day and age to mine gold and harvest lumber. If you can find it. I don't know, where does gold come from now? We don't mine it anymore in Colorado or California, do we? I don't know. All right, thanks everyone for playing. Let's turn it over to Alan for this week's Gentleman's Interlude.
Listen well, Green Brute. Warcraft II Tides of Darkness was released in 1995, crafted by Blizzard Entertainment, a studio of remarkable vision. Unlike your kind's crude instincts, it refined the real-time strategy form, resource gathering, base construction, and tactical warfare upon land and sea. It is a thinking man's war. It was later brought to consoles, including the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, expanding its reach beyond the PC.
Human talk too much. Game good because war feels right. Ships burn, towers fall. Blizzard, they understand battle, not like soft human stories. Console or box, still war.
It introduced naval combat, you oaf. Oil became vital. Control the seas, control the war. Units followed commands with improved precision over its predecessor. And the campaign, two perspectives, Alliance and Horde, though I suppose you only grasped the latter.
Orc campaign better. Humans hide in castles. Orcs take what needed. Game let you crush weak walls, hear them break. Good design.
Your barbarism aside, the game also featured multiplayer over LAN and modem, quite advanced for its time. It fostered competition, strategy, camaraderie, qualities you would struggle to comprehend.
Many fights, many wins. That's what matters. Humans think rules make them strong. Game shows truth. Strong survive.
It also received an expansion in 1996, Beyond the Dark Portal, further enriching the narrative and strategic depth. Blizzard demonstrated exemplary craftsmanship. The console versions retained much of this content for a broader audience.
More battles, more enemies to break.
Indeed, though I suspect even in a game of intellect you rely solely on brute force.
Too bloody right, human. Force works.
All right, thanks, Alan. And let's hear from some of you and your comments on the game this week. And we got a bunch of them. I'm really quite excited to read these. Brother Retro says, I was a huge StarCraft player back in the day. I'm not sure how much this translates, if it's a same game, different skin type of scenario, but I've always been interested in this and Warcraft 3. Can't wait to hear about it. It's not just a skin. It's definitely different, but the DNA is there. StarCraft is definitely the better, more complex game because it came out after Warcraft 2, but still, it is great, but different. And Warcraft 3 I haven't played much of, but yeah, Warcraft 3 is good too. Awesome. Yeah. And it's available now. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and I hope that you are able to play Warcraft 2 because it's great. Dylan Jacobson says, Zog Zog. No notes. Excellent. Game Genius says, glittering prizes. It's a good day to die. Make it so. Unite the clans. You pitiful worm. On screen. Deck me out. Every little thing she does. Need I say more? No, you do not, sir. And we forgot to talk about them. Those are the cheat codes. I loved using those, especially, like glittering prizes was helpful. I think, is it Make It So is the one that speeds up your build and stuff. Yeah, if you're playing, if you're just kind of fucking around and you just want to kick back and just decimate, yeah, those codes are really great. All right, Rise of Hooli said, I love this game as a kid. I'll never forget the time I played it at my aunt's house. I was glued to their computer for hours. I'm sure they love that. Yeah, this is nothing like a long form game that takes hours to play to just really just lock in and break away from your family. Peter Brookers says, I remember this as a step up from Dune 2. After that, I remember it as a step up to the legacy of Warcraft 3 and World of Warcraft, a very important game. Yes, indeed it is. I've never played Dune 2, but I think that's a Westwood Studios game, so kind of along the lines of a Command and Conquer. But yeah, I'd love to go back and play Dune 2. But yeah, this I consider a turning point in the RTS genre, along with Command and Conquer. That's what I'm thinking of. Particularly Red Alert. That was a great game. Philip Mamouth with Fart says, this is a perfect example of a game that took what was done in the previous game and built on it just perfectly. Adding naval combat, more units, and the ability to build anywhere. Just a great time. Yes, it is. And Finally, Old Man Gamer says, I am not a PC guy, but my friend had a PC and this game, and the hours we would spend taking turns playing it. And then once my family got a computer, I had to have this game. Really the only PC game I've played, and this will still play from time to time. Yes. Hey, you should let us know. Did you ever play online? Did you ever like hook up the modems back then? Because that was a fun time. And if you had a fast enough internet dial-up speed or whatever, or modem or whatever the fuck, it was just it basically like killed your phone line for hours. But yeah, those games could last forever. Let us know. Anyways, I've done enough introing, so let's get to this game chat. Released in 1995 and developed by Blizzard Entertainment and published by Davidson and Associates. Who the hell's that? This came out on MS-DOS. That's a blast from the past. Macintosh, Windows, and later Saturn and PlayStation. Let's get to this chat. Work.
The once mighty army of Azeroth lay among the blackened and charred remains of Stormwind Keep. Those that escaped fled across the Great Sea, bringing tales of the suffering they had faced at the hands of the Orcish hordes. Eager to engage in battle once again, the Orcs constructed ships of war to bear them across the Great Sea. The Orcish warriors yearned for the sounds of battle to fill the air and looked to the far horizon for new blood to spill. Using the weapons forged by their new allies, the humans made haste to prepare for the onslaught. While dwarven cannon were being loaded, others armed themselves with elven steel and mail. United in arms with new allies against a common foe, mankind stands at the shores of destiny and awaits the coming of the Tides of Darkness.
All right, welcome everyone to this week's episode where we're talking Warcraft II, and I'm very excited. Here with me is my peon Brian and my peasant Alan. How are you guys doing?
Hey, I'm pretty useful then.
Yeah,
you can't do shit in this game without a peasant, so I'm the most useful guy here.
You started out with Alan as a peon, and then you switched over to me as a peon and on the redo, and now I don't know whether to be insulted or happy.
Well,
order.
One's a peon and one's a peasant. Yeah, I fucked it up at first, so hopefully Brian cuts it and doesn't just leave it in.
We do that all the time. We like cutting.
People don't come here because we know what we're doing.
Brian, cut it. Yeesh, me lord. work. Oh man, this is. I'm gonna just lay it all out there. This is one of my favorite games of all time. So, no pressure, guys, but you have to like it. Let's start out with our personal history. I'm gonna go last because I think I probably have the most. But, Brian, let's start with you. Did you play this at all back when it came out? I believe in 1996 or 97?
Definitely not back then. I don't remember if I ever dabbled in it, because I did like RTS games when I got my first computer there. I was more into the Command & Conquer, though, so I think this one might have fallen through the cracks, and I just never got around to it. It was always like on the shelf there. I was like, I'll play it next, and then, another new Command & Conquer comes out, and I'm like, well, there goes Warcraft. And then it finally kind of died out with the World of Warcraft, or the rise of the World of Warcraft there. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think this would probably be considered the first time I've officially played it in a manner in which I can talk about it.
Oh, all right. Alan, how about you?
More than I fucking did.
Yeah.
No, I have absolutely... Well, as far as I know, I have zero experience with Warcraft beyond obviously hearing about World of Warcraft and Am I going to embarrass myself? Is Leroy Jenkins World of Warcraft? Did that meme happen in a World of War? I mean, because obviously I've seen that as well, and South Park, and I went to see the film for some unknown reason back in the day. A friend of mine dragged me along to see the film, despite the fact I had absolutely no idea what was going on. The shout
There
out,
was a film?
there is.
Oh.
So shout out to Jack if you're listening. He's not listening, but no, I mean, like Brian, I've probably played significantly less RTSs in my day than everyone else here. Like, I've played Command and Conquer Red Alert. I played Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. And I think that's about it. The strangest thing is, though, I mean, there was something oddly familiar about this game. I don't know if maybe I played a demo of it back in the day, because I did used to play a few games on PC here and there, and a lot of it was just kind of demo discs and stuff like that.
Is that when you bought the PC Gamer magazine and it came with the demo disc, or is it when you bought a PlayStation magazine and it came with the demo disc?
Well, I mean, it would have been on the PC, so yeah, probably just... I don't even remember buying magazines, so it's probably just borrowing stuff from kids at school, just how it used to be. I don't
this was
think
back in the
this...
day when you could walk into a store and they would actually have the discs there you could grab, and that's how you got demos, like the shareware discs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
This was
Maybe
back
that's
in...
how you got it.
This was the back...
It's kind of like the 20 in 1 Nintendo cartridges. They just showed up at your house somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It just bled through the walls. I mean, that was back in the day when PCs actually had... And at least, listen, I don't know fuck all about PCs. Mine does not have a disk drive, so... I don't know, do PCs even have disk drives anymore?
Oh, they got rid of them.
Not typically. Yeah, you gotta like order it specifically to have a CD drive now. But yeah, I mean this. I'll go into my history quick. I played the shit out of this game when I was a kid. Came out right at that age. I was around like 9 or 10 probably when this came out, and this is another one where I can credit my dad for kind of getting me into this and ushering my video game tastes a little bit, because this was a time when he was into PC gaming, and so this was a big one that I remember there being a lot of hype around it before it came out. Like Warcraft II, this is like the RTS to end all RTSs, basically. Not really. I mean, this and Command and Conquer I played a ton of, and I think you think about those early RTS games. There was obviously a Warcraft 1, but no one really talks about it. I've only played it a couple times, and it is very rudimentary compared to this, which even this now, by now standards, is pretty rudimentary. But this one really pushed the envelope on, having your units be able to kind of roam freely around, and introducing like sea and air. So there's air units for the first time. There's sea units, lots of different kinds of ships and stuff like that. Like this really, you had wizards and mages and stuff that could do spells, and you could upgrade your units and stuff. Like this was just so much packed into one game that I think this actually, if you think about it, kind of adds some RPG elements, and kind of maybe you can see where they were going, where the evolution leads us to World of Warcraft eventually, because when you upgrade your characters, they get their level, quote unquote, goes up. And Command and Conquer really didn't do that. Like they're both really great games, but they both do things much differently. And I think I really preferred Warcraft and StarCraft to Command and Conquer.
That's kind of where I disagree with you on it. But we'll get into the reasons why. But one of the things I notice about this game is the units on both sides are just reskin versions of each other, and their stats just remain the same. So it's not like picking one over the other is going to get you anything special.
Kind of.
You're just going to literally play the same game, just with a different race.
Kind of, but not really, because once you get to the point where you have like the Elven Ranger and the Troll Berserker, those are different. It takes a bit, but like once you get into the more advanced levels of like the single player campaign, or you're playing multiplayer, there are certain units that definitely do different things, whereas some of them are just, like you said, reskins. Like the grunt and the foot soldier are basically the same.
Well, I'm looking at a list of all the characters, and so far, none of the stats.
No, the stats are, you're correct. The stats are the same, but like the special abilities that some of the units gain, like the ogre mage is different from the paladin. They do different stuff. Like the ogre mage can like generate this floating eyeball, and you can make it go, and they cast bloodlust and stuff like that. Where like the paladin does a healing spell. They do other stuff. I didn't play as humans this time, but yeah, the mage and the gosh, I can't remember what the orc version is. It's like a shadow rider or something. They're different. They do different spells and stuff. So there's some differences, but yeah, there are a lot of similarities. But you can see where they're starting to kind of branch off a little bit, and like StarCraft is really where they honed that, like units are completely different. Like the three, I guess, races or species, for lack of a better term, are very distinctly different. Whereas this, they were just kind of starting to branch off. I don't know. I don't have much else to say on personal history. I played a ton of it. I played with the map editor. I would do that a lot. I would just like sit there and like look through the manual, like to the point where like I knew all the different color factions and stuff for each side, and like there's a lot of lore that they put into this too. I think that was kind of my first experience with a video game that had like super deep backstory and lore.
Well, that's something I wanted to get into because, this is my first experience with this world, and, it's obviously rich with lore and a lot of characters and a lot of areas on the map that just sound very important when they're talking about them, but obviously I've got no connection to them. I mean, beyond sort of human smashing orcs, this being our first Warcraft episode, I mean, what is the story of this world? I mean, what is going on here?
Yeah, and they kind of, it's told in cutscenes, and like the in between, like the when you get kind of your like mission brief is kind of where they're telling the story between the missions, and then like also, there's all kinds of deep stuff in the manual, but like very basic. I don't know if like the orcs already existed in this realm, or if they come through the dark portal, but I know that like Warcraft II very much centers around the dark portal, and the orcs are trying to control it because they're wanting to bring more like basically orcs and creatures of darkness through to take over Azeroth, and the humans are trying to prevent this. And so I think I can't remember who defeats who. There's like an opening kind of like really cool looking CGI for the time cutscene to introduce the game that basically tells the story that like the orcs I believe were defeated, and then they make a comeback, and they're coming to the shores of Azeroth to fight the humans and reclaim the dark portal or whatever. Like I might be completely butchering that. There's just so much to it that I've forgotten over time. But that's kind of the basis of it. Like the human and orc campaigns on either side are very similar in a way, but then they kind of diverge after a few missions, and they're both kind of telling the opposite sides of the same story that kind of leads you to this either defending or destroying the dark portal
See, I like
at the
that.
end of the game. Yeah.
That's a neat way, and and it's hardly the first game that ever let you play as both sides for conflict. But I really appreciate when games do that because, like you were saying, you have the equivalent of each army's specialists, I guess, on either side. And it's nice to see sort of how they change it ever so slightly. For the record, I didn't actually play as the orcs. I didn't have time, and I didn't get a huge way into the human campaign because this is kind of a game that's very difficult to shotgun for a podcast.
Oh yeah,
because I found found some of these scenarios, like I would be I would be there for like a full hour or two, just building and defending and just hoarding resources, and then trying to build an army, and then sending it off to get absolutely pasted, and then going back to the drawing board. And it's just like, well, okay, like how did I fuck this up, and how can I better use my resources to make sure it doesn't happen again? So,
But that is one of the good things about RTS games, is that it's not just like a fast-paced dopamine dump of an action game that you have to take your time and be methodical in how you do stuff, because that computer can build, and these games were never optimized for some reason, but the computer builds at like 5 times your speed.
Yeah.
So as you get like enough units to go attack, they have enough, like if you have 3 ships on the water, they have an armada coming after you, because they just build so fast, because they're building out of everything at once, where you have to flick through everything.
Yep.
And I would say that's a negative point for this, but it actually is balanced out by the fact that they don't send their entire horde at you to wipe you out in one go. They'll send like a few units here and there.
yeah.
So it's kind of a fuck you, but at the same time, thank you for not just overwhelming me.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of... Sorry, go on, Sam.
No, go ahead, because I had something after
just...
you. Yeah.
It's kind of like, not only do they kind of test your defenses, but at the same time, it's kind of reminding you that they're there. So, because you can get very, very complacent, and I did, like, early on. And it's just like, okay, well, you know, I'm chopping down trees, I'm mining the gold and all of that good stuff, and I'm like, oh, let's see what I can build, and, you know, this is quite fun, you know, I'm building up a nice little base there, and then every once in a while, a little horde would come along, and I'd be like, oh, shit, yeah, no, they're, like... stuff is going to happen. It just gives you a little bit of urgency.
I have 52 peasants and no knights.
Oh,
right.
You know what? If I could win this game on peasants alone, I would, because those little bastards
I bet
are
you
worth
could,
their
because
weight
they
in
can
gold.
attack and you could just overwhelm them.
They're so weak, though. It's not like
Can,
that's like
can
your last
peasants
ditch.
attack?
Yeah, they can. They hack with their little axes, and it doesn't do anything. They get killed.
Well,
right away.
they barely cut down trees. I mean, the rate they go through trees is like
It's so
molasses.
slow. Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say about the just, you know, basically when you're fighting the, you know, there was a multiplayer which we can get into a little bit, which obviously we didn't do this time around. But when you're playing the campaign, the interesting thing is like, yeah, basically, and this happens in turn-based games too. Like you're playing like an Advance Wars or a Fire Emblem. Yeah, you're going to be put at some sort of a strategic disadvantage, and there's going to be certain parameters or limitations put on the CPU player so that it's at least winnable for you, but you are at a clear disadvantage, and you need to think your way around it. So, yeah, there are some missions where it makes sense to build up defenses. There are some missions where it makes sense to build up offense or very specific types of offense, like you need you know, kind of like sea supremacy before you can do anything else.
Oh, that fucked me over one time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I built a massive army, then found out I was on a fucking island.
Yeah. Yeah, there's stuff
Did you
like
run
that.
out? Did you run out of gold in the mine and shit like that as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. And
Yep.
I ran out with enough to make 2 transports, and I was able to get like 10 people onto another island. But by the time I got there, it turned out to be the enemy's island, and they sunk my transports with their, you know, warships.
Incredible.
And I was just like, well, fuck.
The number of times that I just overcommitted to like building stuff, and then all of a sudden that mine was gone, and I've got like 7 or 8 peasants just standing around with their hands in their pockets, just like, well, what do we do now? I'm just
Well,
like, I don't know, because I've just sent all my knights over the hill to die, and now I can't build anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another facet of this is like, yeah, there is sometimes a very specific winning strategy or set of potential strategies in a mission. And, you know, if you don't figure that out, and you might not figure that out on your first try if you're not playing with a guide or looking at the map, which in this case I did a couple times, just kind of was like, I just want to be able to finish these missions without having to spend like days figuring it out. Yeah, you will if you don't kind of branch your kind of development tree in the right areas. Yeah, you'll run out of gold before you can like hop to another island or find it, because sometimes it is necessary to establish like additional bases. Like what they hand you at the beginning is not necessarily enough to get you through the whole mission. There was one I did recently where it was like, yeah, you start up in this corner and it's pretty easily defendable, but you can't sit back there or you're going to run out of shit. So you have to kind of like work your way down one of the sides of the map where there are additional gold mines and forests, and like, build up all the way down the map until you can, come up with a force that's large enough to make a dent. And meanwhile, yeah,
you have to get it
peppering
defensible very, very quickly. Like, it's just, you just send a peasant out there and like a town hall, then that's not going to last very long if that next wave comes along. Like, you have to...
they find it.
Yeah.
I would always send one peasant out to kind of explore, be like my scout there to find, future resources, or the fact that I'm on an island, because, I didn't do that once, and lo and behold. But doing that always, like, paid off, because that peasant would be right by the next gold mine, and I'd just get enough money, build another town hall, and then start mining a second gold mine. And my resources obviously would like just fly up, and then I'd have enough peasants just to clear a forest like in no time. So I had all the resources, I just wasn't fast enough to build at the pace of the computer, and half the time I had enough of an army to move. And the problem with me playing the game is I couldn't hotkey the units. My keyboard, I don't have one of those ones with a number pad, so you have to hit control and the number on the number pad to hotkey them.
You can use the
so I had to
numbers along the
continuously
top.
select. No, it doesn't work.
Oh shit!
At least it didn't for me.
Yeah, those hotkeys are so useful.
Well, you need to use them because you need to set up squads, and then that's the quickest way to take something down. Now, my unit would move at different speeds because I wouldn't just like slam them full of the same type of unit. And of course, there I am trying to get them all selected again, and they're being wiped out at the front while I'm trying to get the stragglers at the back.
Yep.
Those ballistas.
Yeah,
they are not fast.
No, but they go in their own unit. For me.
that's what I did too. I would try to keep them in the back as best as possible, and that is kind of two quick, I guess, little criticisms, or just kind of things you have to be aware of and work around on this game. First, I mean, we kind of already alluded to it, but the fact that the CPU character or the CPU player can always do multiple things at once, which is, just kind of, if the computer wants to beat you, they're going to fucking beat you, because we can't possibly process as many functions at the same time. So that's kind of why I would usually stick to the campaigns when I was playing this game, or I would select maps that would allow me to play to my style and just have fun with it. Or I think you could adjust the difficulty of the computer character, and I would usually turn it down a little bit, because especially as a kid, it's like, it's no fun if you've built up some peasants in a farm and maybe a barracks, and then they're already at you with like 5 foot soldiers and a couple archers, and they're kicking your ass already, and you've barely got one grunt out. It's like, that's not fun. So there's that. And the other criticism, I think, would be like, the characters move at different speeds, your little units, and they're, I guess, for lack of a better term, AI, or their, whatever their programming is, fucking sucks sometimes, because they will get stuck and just stand there, or they won't like know to go down a certain path. If they meet any resistance, they'll like turn around and take the long way around, and they might get attacked some other, by another group or something like that. So it is kind of hard to keep large units together and moving in the same direction and at the same speed is impossible. I think not StarCraft, but I think StarCraft II solved that. And maybe Warcraft 3 also. I didn't play a lot of Warcraft 3, but I did play some StarCraft 2. When you had units grouped together that were of different movement speeds, they would adjust down to the slowest, so they would stay together in a group. And you could kind of arrange the units so that like your kind of like your heavy artillery or whatever type units would be more in the back, and then your melee guys would be up front, or whatever kind of stuff. You could arrange different formations.
The difference.
Yeah, those games are definitely improvements, whereas this is like kind of the first in the next generation of RTS games that were coming out in the mid-90s.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the realism, and it does sort of add a layer of tactics to how you play, because, maybe you can't move everything at the same time. Maybe you need to adjust how you're approaching the enemy. And, where it comes like hotkeying and stuff like that, I would have an awful lot more sympathy for you, Brian, if I weren't playing it on a Sega Saturn
Yeah, that's
and
right.
using the control pad. So
That was your choice.
well, I mean, yes, arguably. I took one for the team because I wanted to see what it would be like on a console.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, actually pretty good. But
Okay.
I can imagine that there is some sacrifice of control there.
Right.
Well, I don't know. It's a point and click game, so
Yeah.
I most of my time my hand was on the mouse because I couldn't hotkey anything. There was no need for me to really click around the keyboard there. So, yeah, I imagine a controller would be the same way. Move a cursor and hit a button to select and a button to do that, and
Yeah,
it's probably not a lot different.
I had as a kid Command and Conquer Red Alert on the PS1, and I think I mentioned this when we were
That
kind of just chatting with each other
sucked.
about it. Yeah, it doesn't it didn't play quite right. And it was kind of funny that I don't even know why I got that for Christmas one year. I don't know if I asked for it or if my parents were just like, "Hey, he likes Command and
You
Conquer.
were
Here's another Command
you
and
were
Conquer."
bad.
Right.
Your parents were punishing
Yeah,
you.
they were. They're like, this, you're banned from the computer. You have to play it on the PlayStation now. Yeah, I have a real hard time with playing real time strategy games on a controller because I have a hard time like clicking and dragging, to get like a box around the units you want to select, and I think a mouse is better suited for that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It
That
just-
was definitely something
yeah.
I had to get used to. And at least at first, I was finding that the speed of the game was just a
Uh-oh.
little too much. I could not, select peasants. I could not select...
Yeah.
If anything was moving, it was like I was chasing them around the map.
Yeah, those
And
little fuckers.
I eventually, I turned the speed down for a bit, but then you do that and the game is just almost painfully slow. Like every
right.
resource you're trying to gather just takes so long. So eventually I did get the hang of it. And, it's not really a problem now. Obviously, that's not a comment on the game. It's a port issue, but I think it works well enough with a controller, and I think that's probably in some way down to the relative simplicity of this game compared to some of the later RTSs. Because there's not a whole lot going on in this game, but there's enough.
Yeah, you do have to,
Yeah.
especially as you advance through, the campaigns. You have to account for increasing. I really like how this game does it, where, yeah, it is a little boring in the beginning because your first missions are like build 4 farms, and those missions do drag because it's like, yeah, you're just in real time having to watch your little peasants, and nothing is happening except your little peasants are chopping wood so you can have enough wood for a barracks and then 4 farms and stuff like that. So those missions get to be a bit draggy, but as you go along, they're adding.
quick.
Yeah, or you can turn.
Well,
up
they're
the
quick if you realize what you're supposed to do. They
Yeah.
take a long time if you don't pay attention to the mission criteria.
Yeah, and
You end up running out of resources because you were not paying attention to the mission criteria. Not that happened to me.
no, right.
I feel represented right now.
Well, the cool thing about that though is that as you go through the missions, they're weaving it into the story. Like the second or third orc mission is like, hey, we're looking for this troll Zul'Jan, and he's captured by the humans, and you have to go free him so that he'll add, his troll axe throwers to your army or whatever. So yeah, at the beginning you can just make peasants and grunts, which are your basic like melee foot soldiers. And then you go through this mission and you rescue Zul'Jan, and then the next mission you have trolls, and then you can build a lumber yard and make troll axe throwers. Same thing with ogres. Like there's one mission where there's like an ogre Cho'Gall, and you have to get him to safety, and then you can make ogres, which is fun.
Now, there's one thing about the way the story is presented that I don't really like, because if you take Command and Conquer Red Alert or Red Alert 2 and they have the actual cutscenes with video and you watch what's going on, this one is just like a wall of text as it goes through the quote-unquote loading screen or something. And I really wish if they're going to talk at me, they could do it while I begin building my base, because I'd be able to listen to the story and not have to sit there completely idle the entire time, watching this wall of text while they explain the story to me.
Yeah.
Not a deal breaker. I mean, it just comes down to my inability to sit still and not do something, which, is probably a result of social media or something. But I mean, if the game was made today, they wouldn't do it the same way.
I know we're jumping on topics. I like the voice acting.
I was literally about to say,
sorry.
That guy who was narrating that text crawl is just giving it his all, and I love it. It's so dramatic.
You didn't hear the orc guy, did you? Because the orc guy is so much fun.
I didn't.
I actually skipped a lot of the story because I was getting bored of it.
It's so fun listening to like the voice acting.
But it
is
wasn't
so expressive.
fun. That was the problem.
Yes, it was. All right.
If there was a video or something, or I said, let me start building my my next level there, and then tell me the story at the beginning, because the amount of story they gave would be the perfect amount of time for me to set up a few, peasants to knock down some trees and get some gold.
That's
Maybe.
true.
I didn't find it all that long though.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was not short, but I didn't think it went on and on. And
again, attention deficit disorder. I really can't pay attention to something that isn't moving around and flashing lights and making happy sounds.
Well,
that's true.
Just read the text and skip the rest.
By the time they get to StarCraft, they've at least they've got those like mission screens where there's at least like little screens with the guys like doing like a little video conference talking about the mission and but switching between voice actors and stuff. This is just you're being
wasn't it StarCraft II as well that would actually like talk during the level there to give you a little bit of exposition of what's going on?
Yeah, so I think
so
at this point in time though, I don't think that was really I think that's a hardware limitation or like just a technological limitation of the time. They just didn't
I don't
know.
I don't know. I honestly don't think so. I think it was just like the flavor of the time. Have all your story in between levels and let you just purely enjoy the game. Like I said, this is more of a minor gripe to me. It's not something I'm going to sit there and say absolutely ruins the game.
It could be. I haven't played the expansion in a while, and I know we're not talking the expansion here, but if you were to get this first of all, if you were to get a console copy, I believe the console copy is the complete Dark Saga, which has like the Orc and Human campaigns for the expansion. And the expansions are cool because you can tell like the base game is pretty much the same, but there is additional kind of not graphical, but a little bit graphical. Yeah, because there's some different artwork and stuff, but like just different bells and whistles, including some different voice acting for hero characters and stuff. Like this is where they take the next step and they develop some hero characters and some different voices and stuff like that. So I don't know. I hear you, but I just don't think it was happening at this time for
I frankly was impressed that there was voice acting in it. And I love the shit that things say when you select them on the map. I mean, I know only just like my liege and shit like that, but it gives you that impression that you are just this all-powerful thing just in the sky over this map, and the power trip.
I always love when you had 4 or 5 barracks going at the same time, and your units are ready because you just hear ready to serve, ready to serve, ready to serve, ready to serve.
Yeah.
As they come out.
I got that a lot because I was setting my barracks and things to auto build.
You can do that?
Whoa, that must have been a console edition.
Yeah,
that helps a lot.
You can't do that in the controller. Because that was one of my gripes is I couldn't set up like a swath of units to be built like I could in Command and Conquer. I could build one at a time. That was
StarCraft does it too. You can build up to 5 units at a time, or
I didn't know this wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
well,
that's awesome.
You select auto build and it brings up like this menu screen. It shows you everything that can be built in that, like say the barracks, and I want 4 or 5 ballistas. I want 7 or 8 knights. Off you go. And as soon as you had enough resources for that, it would just continue to churn them out until it had done.
Holy shit! Yeah, that would help a lot, and that's a really nice touch to add to the console version.
Yeah, that would have been something that would have allowed me to actually take on the Orcs when I did the skirmish mode.
Yeah, skirmish is so hard.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't.
Fuck.
I wasn't aware that was. To be fair, I didn't actually look into the differences between sort of PC and console. But that's neat. If that was only added for consoles, that's cool.
What I guess what kind of bothers me about that is I went out and I bought the remastered edition off of what's it called? Not Blizzard, BattleNet.
Yeah, BattleNet.
Or Battle.net. And you would think they would do the quality of life upgrades with that, but no, it was just literally a reskin version of the original game, and it cost $5 more. So I said, why the hell not, right?
Huh.
I think I have that version, but I really wanted the feel of the original, so I just played back the original version with I guess you call it. It's just
Pixelated
about 16.
graphics.
Yeah, it's pixelated graphics. It looks good.
Yeah, the reskin version is just, more cartoony, more smoothed out graphics.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. It
Really,
plays
yeah.
exactly the same.
There's also a fun version of StarCraft that like makes it cartoony, so it's not as violent, and then kids can play it, which I think is a really cool touch. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, while we're talking about the graphics and how the game looked, I mean, yeah, obviously sort of 16-bit graphics there, and like I didn't necessarily think that the visuals were anything that necessarily blew me away, but I kind of get that because with so many moving parts and such large maps, it's going to be you have to sacrifice something to have all of that going on at the same time. And I think mine was particularly hampered because, I mean, obviously a Sega Saturn is not as powerful as a PC, I'll grant you. And having my Sega Saturn like linked up to one of the biggest TVs in the house, I mean, that just blows up that visual so much that the warts and all are just completely on display. Like, you do lose something playing in a game like this on modern TVs.
Now, I will say one thing about the graphics of RTS games back then is, the characters were small and basically insignificant, but it was okay because you had a lot of them and you weren't really focusing in on details.
Oh no, it's not it's not something that's going to detract from the game at all. Like,
no,
I get it. You're
the remastered
right.
version, like the characters look great because they obviously had better looking skins, but it didn't make the game any better. It just, no. That's one thing I love about RTS games is because you're spamming so many units, it doesn't matter like what they really look like. As long as you get the basic shape of it, you're pretty much good to go.
Well, it's
if a tank looks like a tank, you're happy.
It's literally chess, isn't it? It's just like as long as you can see what the pieces are, it doesn't matter how good they look.
It's chess if your opponent gets 5 turns in a row.
Yeah, that's it. You've nailed it. Check and mate.
Now king me.
Anyone else got anything to say about the visuals? Did we lose Sam?
I don't know.
No,
Sam
I'm
just
here.
kind of
I was just letting you guys cook.
It was just taking it all in.
Yeah, no. One thing I wanted to mention back on the what is it? The voice acting. Did either of you click multiple times on one unit, and then if you eventually click on them enough times, they're like greeting to you will get like pissed off. They like. They'll like start saying goofy shit. Yeah, it's awesome. That's something that Blizzard does in their games. Like they did it in StarCraft. They do it on this. Like you click, the knight. I remember like you click him enough times, he gets irritated. He's like, "Don't force me to run you through."
That's incredible. Like, no, I didn't ever do that. You bet your ass next time I play this, I'm going to be pissing off everyone on that map.
I don't remember how I found that out, but when I was a kid, like I would just like it tickled me every time. I would just be like, "Yep, I'm gonna click on this guy until he gets pissed off," and then he starts like
then send him to his death.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was I don't know. I guess something that kind of annoyed me is because I couldn't like hotkey my units there, and I'm sending them in, and I would always like the only way to beat another unit in this game is to have more units than they have, and so you have to have like basically 2-to-1 because the units are the same strength up to that certain point we talked about, and like you get 2 warships as side by side, they're going to sink each other unless you have a second one or they have a second one or they're pre-damaged or vice versa. And that always kind of annoyed me because I always had to make sure I doubled up of what I wanted to send out just in case I came across one of their enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say that's kind of like in real life.
Well, that's the thing. In real life, you're going to have, like, okay, I'm going to bitch about it a little bit, and I know this is something we already started on at the beginning of the episode, but it would be nice if each side kind of had your basic units, like your like build a billion knights, your what do they call them, Zerg rushes in StarCraft, enough to do that. Then you had every unit like above that, and the tier above that kind of had like a little bit of difference, like, oh, maybe the humans have stronger or maybe better defense, weaker characters, where the orcs have stronger attack but weaker defense. And it balances out in a way that, you know, certain units can wipe out another type of unit from the other side a lot quicker, and then vice versa, and then you have to strategize what you use. It was just literally, if you had the equivalent unit, they would kill each other because they were just equally matched, or an upgrade system so you could add a little bit more to your unit. And I know there is the upgrade system, but I never saw any benefit of it.
Do you know what?
Maybe I just missed the benefit of it.
I mean, yeah, I did as much as possible upgrade my units, and there was a slight difference, but again, if you're getting mobbed, that difference sort of goes down quite quickly. And do you know what, Brian? I mean, that's actually not a bad point. It's just, I was finding myself like building up what I thought was quite a capable force and sending it off into battle, and just getting smoked. And I don't know if that's the fact that I was having trouble, I guess, isolating enemies or clicking on the enemy that I wanted to fight, because again, I was still having a little bit of difficulty selecting things, and I'd end up sending my forces into an area where I couldn't pull them out of. And I do think that, yeah, something like, I don't know, the orcs are more plentiful, but they're weaker. There's just more of them. And your humans, you've got fewer of them, but they're much stronger. You know, I mean, that sort of difference, I think probably it's just because it's such an early game. Like, is that something that more modern RTSs do? Maybe it's just a sign of the times.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But Command and Conquer was out around this time, and the different factions had different capabilities and their different types of units, and it's like not unheard of, but maybe it's the simplicity of this game that made it so popular, because I always find that games that get overly complicated with their mechanics or their stats or their whatever building tend to just not be as good as a game that, like this, that does have a very simplistic user what's-a-McCaldy thing. Brain just completely shut down on me for a second.
Interface?
Yeah, interface. God damn. But like my monitor went dark, and I think it just absolutely wiped my brain.
I have a
brain.
I have a quick. Yeah, I have some feedback on that. What do you call it? The upgrades, right? So I mean, you can build blacksmith, and there's upgrades that you can do in the lumber yard for the trolls or the elves or whatever. So basically and I don't understand all of the ins and outs like behind the scenes, but each character or each unit that you have has like a damage range that they can do. So the damage, it kind of is like an RPG that way, where like your foot soldier does like 2 to 9 damage or something, and it's going to do like, I don't know if it's based on kind of like a dice roll situation or just pure
like
stats.
What was it, Thaco? THACO that they use in like Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that deep even, but like it basically, I think it's a simple calculation based off of like armor of the opponent and attack power of your character. And so it'll do a range of 2 to 9 damage depending on what they're attacking. So higher end on like a peasant because they have no armor, and lower end on like a building because a building would have higher armor. So that's why, like, even if you've got a pretty decent group of like foot soldiers or grunts, it's going to take them a while to take down a town hall. Yeah. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, you can do those upgrades, and those upgrades are useful, especially if you're playing campaign and your computer opponent is only up to a certain point. You might be able to kind of outclass them as far as your weaponry if you have the time and the resources to research them. And then if you're playing multiplayer, like it's almost like an arms race,
Yeah.
where like, yeah, if you have a group of like level 1 grunts up against a group of level 5 grunts, you're not going to do very well. So it's, you're kind of forced to do that in those situations.
There is a certain amount of tactical necessity as well with the upgrades, I found, because when you get those buildings and you see that you can upgrade stuff, and you touched on it yourself, like as long as you've got the resources, and it's very easy to get carried away with upgrading all the swords, all the shields, all the ballistas and everything, and you're just like, well, now I've got no money to actually build units. So the game kind of forces you to play tactically. Yeah, so you might not, it might not be in your best interests to like go for every single upgrade. I mean, because like it could cost like 4,000 gold to upgrade those fucking things, and it's just like, well, for that I could have, I don't know, like 4 or 5 knights, and maybe if they're upgraded, maybe they're twice as good. Who knows? So I
always upgraded when I found a second gold mine, because trees were plentiful.
Yeah.
Like, you could just chop down a forest. And a couple of times I set up, like, guard towers around the openings, and my peons, or my peasants, chopped a hole through the forest so the enemy could walk right past all my defenses. But once I found a second gold mine, I'd set up a new home base, or whatever it's called. And that's when I would start doing the upgrades everywhere, because now I could just, like, spam all my peasants into, like, just getting me money. And you could click on the mine to see how much money was inside of it, or how much gold is inside of it, so that you'd have a rough idea of what you could do in the future. And I found a couple of mines that had over 100,000 gold, so I was just like, score. Just start sending peasants into it, just rip the money out of it, and, like...
oh, did it actually show a figure?
Like I do in a bank vault, but... Yeah, that was the way to do it for me, is to upgrade. The only problem with that is you need a lot of peasants to make it go fast, and you can't just kill off your characters. So what I do is, after a while, I had too many peasants and not enough farms to build up an army. So I'd take a bunch of peasants and I'd send them into the enemy base so that they would get killed off. So I'd end up having more room to build an army.
You're a monster.
That is one way to do it. It's
the only way you can do it. And, like, in other games, you can kill off your units when they're no longer useful. This game just forces you to love everybody, and I'm just not built that way.
Mate, I hope for your sake those peasants don't unionize, because you are fucked.
They can't unionize if I don't turn the game back on.
True enough.
They can't unionize if they're already dead.
Yeah.
The Amazon model, I like it.
Oh. That is definitely something that I need to get better at doing on this game, is actually branching out, because I get so sort of shut into this little corner of the map that I've started making. And that was where I was falling down so often. It's just like I would expend all the resources in the area, and then just I'd be stuck. I suppose it comes from like actually getting out there and exploring the map, and again, it just comes through repeated playthroughs. Like, you're not necessarily going to get to one of these scenarios and just instantly be able to walk your way through it. And I think the game does a really, really good job of building up these scenarios, because like you said, it does start off quite simple, quite basic. Build this, build that, pay attention to this, it's going to be important. Here's a new thing that you can build that this mission is centered around, and this is how it works. So remember that, because if this scenario comes up again, this is what you're going to need to use. Like, the sort of entire first half of the game feels like a massive tutorial, and it does it very subtly, and I really like that about it. So I didn't feel like I did
subtly.
I mean, well, it's not like bringing up massive text boxes on screen and telling you this is what this does.
I see what you're saying. It does it diegetically, but it built it into the game.
Yeah, exactly. And
I thought you're like it's like you barely notice you're in the tutorial, like where the first level is build 4 farms, and then you rescue the elves just in time to get archers. And it's a very obvious, like, I don't know, about 5 missions of tutorials,
I guess. But, I am stupid enough that I'd be like, well, farm? I mean, what do I need one of those for? I am just that dumb.
You get food at the grocery store.
Yeah, just give me the swords, man.
Well, kind of an interesting aspect of the strategy to this game, because one thing I don't like is that you can't build There are walls. They're not very strong, but they do exist. But you can't build them like you can in some other RTS games. Like I'm thinking, like Age of Empires 2. Like you can build walls in that game, pretty effective ones too. Um, this game, like,
That's a game I was thinking of. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So you can build or you can't build walls, but one thing you can do is be very I guess strategic with how you harvest your wood, because sometimes you're like built into a forest a little bit, or you can build up your farms in such a way that they kind of make a bit of a wall. I mean, you kind
See, I
of
always,
there's risk to that, but it's
Yeah.
available
Yeah,
there.
I always put watchtowers kind of evenly spaced out in my like the ways
Yeah.
that were open to my main area. And those kind of acted as a pseudo wall because they would at least hold off some of the enemies while you rounded up your measly army to go over to that side of the map and take out the 3 or 4 guys that are coming to attack you.
That's exactly what I did as well. And I did admittedly go looking for a wall in like any of the build menus. I was just like, well, there has to be one. So I was quite surprised to see that there wasn't. But yeah, I mean, certainly some of the missions there, as long as you put up a couple of guard towers. I love that you could upgrade those as well, because those cannon towers are actually pretty effective.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you can sort of add a sort of a first, not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not recon. It's just a first line of defense, let's say,
Yeah.
which is always very useful.
Yeah, the crappy thing about the cannon towers, even though, is that a ballista or a catapult, upgraded one for sure. Like if they have a couple of them and approach your towers, they can knock your towers out really quick.
Well, they stay just out of range as well, don't they? They're smart.
Yeah, so I would have. Luckily, this one particular mission I was thinking of, I had this like corner of my base that they were always attacking for some reason. Like basically, like the computer, for as difficult as it can be to get past all the functions it can do at the same time, the computer is kind of dumb and will kind of stick to its own strategy of like it's very focused on one corner of your map. It's going to attack you from that direction. So if you build up your defenses in that direction, they will just continue to kind of pepper that area with attacks. And so like, yeah, one catapult at a time is no big deal, but like if they were to ever get wise to it and like send more, you'd be in trouble.
Did I ever tell
I
you
had
the
the opposite
definition of
experience
insanity?
with that. I'd always move my I call them town defense, but I'd always move those units to one side there, and then all of a sudden I get attacked from the other side, so I'd move them over to the other side, and then I get attacked from the far side. So then I'd split them up, and then I get attacked from both sides. It always just seemed to be where I wasn't is where they came into my city. And then, like I said, my peasants cut a hole through the forest, and then the enemy just started walking right in between everything. It's just literally opened the door for my own demise.
It's crazy with those forests as well, because, as I've sort of not complained, but made mention of the fact that it takes so long to chop trees down and get those resources, but you take your eyes off them for 1 minute and all of a sudden half the forest's gone, and I'm not sure how that happens. It's like while I'm watching them, they take forever. But you go and do something else.
Boils.
Yeah, true.
Well, the other thing too is like, yeah, even if they clear part of the forest, if there's still like some trees nearby, like the way that they're kind of programmed proximity wise, they will go back to the same area that they were chopping trees. And if there's no trees in that particular area, they just stop. Yeah.
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 Like if they split the middle of a large forest and focus on one side and they clear that side, they're not going to the other side when they're done.
Nope.
Oh, so many times I'd be going around just checking out how everybody's doing, the middle management kind of thing there. And you see so many people standing around. It's just like, fuck, why can't I just kill you off? Obviously, your usefulness is done.
Right.
That or go fucking cut those trees over there. So off into the enemy base they go.
Or even, just I don't know, train the peasants up to be fighters or something.
That'd be cool if you could upgrade them to some sort of fighter after they're done with their
Yeah.
usefulness as a peasant. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. That would actually be like a great mechanic. That I can't think of a game that lets you do that, where your peasants can go train and become a knight or something. That would, you know what? We're building a game, and that's going to be the main mechanic.
All
there.
you need-
And everybody can upgrade to the next
All
unit.
you need is one building called the training camp that you build, and then you send a peasant to go into that, and then you could pick from a menu. Do they want to be an archer, a fighter, a brawler? You know, and now Brian doesn't have to send all of these poor bastards who have slaved away for days.
Again, it's the Amazon model.
Yeah. Your usefulness is done. Go get killed. One of the other things that makes this challenging from a like a strategic perspective is like if you're mixing units, which you're encouraged to mix units, you know, you want to have
No, you have to.
yeah, you want to have a combination of like your ranged units and your up close units and some of your like longer range artillery style units. But the problem is when you mix them all together, sometimes you can get some area damage or friendly fire. So like I would
Oh
have,
my god, yes.
you'd have
Yeah.
you'd have your catapults just kind of go wild, you know, if you send in some close range units to take care of someone who's attacking your base, a catapult will just like fling a ball into the middle of it and like kill your units too. And it's just like, oh, you fucker, knock it off.
It took me an
Off into
embarrassing
the enemy
amount
base
of time.
with you. Go follow the peasants.
It took me
Right.
so long to figure out that that's what was happening as well, because I would be like, all right, let's just go and destroy some orc buildings right now, and I've got everyone selected because again, I'm not playing this very well. So my fighters, my soldiers, they're going in there and they're starting clobbering at the walls, and then you've just got these massive fucking spears hoving across and just taking them out while they're destroying the building. And I was just like, what the hell? I didn't realize that I was doing it to myself.
Right.
So
Well, lesson learned. Next time you go play, don't kill yourself.
Well, the
no,
other thing
there's-
is,
and I will play this again.
yeah. I mean, I'm going to continue to kind of plug away at this throughout the year, I think, because again, like you said, this isn't something you can just sit there and shotgun for an episode of a podcast. Like,
Yeah.
you know, each map is like, you should plan for a couple sessions of gaming to like fully complete a map, just because you're going to have to do some trial and error
Oh.
and you're going to figure some
Yeah.
things
This-
out as you go along.
This is literally, for me, it was one map a day. And
Yep.
I made it only to the end of Act 2. But, yeah, I'm going to continue to press on and get to the end of this game because it is very relaxing to play it. Even though it can get frustrating at times, it is just something to put on. Like, I have 2 monitors on my computer, so I'll play the game and I'll have, like, a movie on or something, and I can kind of do both at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I want to finish, and I'm going to be like Sam. It's going to be like slow picking throughout the year because I can go back to this. The mechanics aren't complicated enough that that I'll forget how to do stuff. So it's almost perfect in that sense.
Yeah. And I
Right.
like, you know, you complete the map, you get your password, and that'll be it for the night. It's just like, well, whenever I feel like playing that next
Pass.
scenario, I've got the password, I'll just plug that in. She's like, right, let's see what we're dealing with this
Password?
time. Yeah, password.
Did we find another difference between the console and the PC?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Saturn was advanced enough to have save files.
Do you know what? It does, right? And here's what confused me, because like, I did save at one point. I don't know if it's a problem. I don't know if it's a problem with the Saturn itself or the fact that I just don't have extra memory plugged into the top of it. But I like saved once and then that was it. And it's just like, nope, you've not got enough
Interesting.
space to save this game again. I was just like, well, how big are the save files on this thing?
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So I was
Use
just like,
your
you know
allotted
what?
space, me lord.
You know what? I'm just going to take the password down, and that's how I'm going to do it.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like this game was one of the first ones in PC games in general where I kind of learned that, you know, you keep multiple save files, and
Yep.
yeah, so I would usually have like one save file at the beginning of a mission, and then, you know, at some point, once I got far enough in and was pretty comfortable with it, or I was going to make my final push towards, you know, finishing the mission, I would pop another save file in there just in case it didn't go well. I could regroup and not have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Saving partway through would have been smart. It's something I always forget to do,
Yeah,
which is
and I
why I
forget
kind of like
sometimes.
autosaves these days. But no, that probably is something I should start doing. Is when I make a success, save the game, so at least if I go back, I have a little bit of progress going.
Right. Yeah, like you don't want to reestablish your whole base again. You've already done that, at least. You know, like if you need to adjust your strategy.
That's half the fun is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's half the fun is that tedious like first 20 minutes where you are like watching a guy chop down a tree.
I guess.
An emphasis on a tree.
Yeah, one tree.
I suppose the only way that there's a downside to that is like if you've really screwed up how you've built this army and you only find out halfway through, but you've already said you're kind of locked into that course of action.
Right.
Not always. That's when you restart.
Well, that's
like
what I'm
honestly,
saying. Not always, but there is that risk.
Yeah.
There is a point of no return when you get to a point sometimes, and yeah.
So I'm either winning this or I'm going to have to restart the whole thing again, go back to the drawing board and just like do this all over, just completely different.
Yeah.
Just insert that Charlie Day meme there where he's at the board with all the thread connecting everything there as you're trying to figure out how to get through the level without dying.
That can be what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, oh god. It's something I love about RTS games, but at the same time, it's something I absolutely hate is when I just can't build as fast as the computer there. Or worse, you jump online against somebody who's like obsessed over this game. And Civilization 5 was the last time I played any type of game like this online. And I was going through that game, and I think we research different sciences and stuff like that, and I think I got the first 3 basic sciences, and a guy attacks me with a fucking submarine, and we're like not even an hour into the game. The guy had it down to a science.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Well,
it's
just like, wow.
It's that Metal Marines bullshit again, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, where it's just like, how did you end up doing all this or getting all this? But yeah,
how do you know where I am?
But again, it's like you have, and we gotta wrap this up pretty soon here, but you have this issue where you start out and you're at a distinct disadvantage, and part of the fun of the game or the challenge of the game is to like try to figure out how you get around that, right?
Yeah.
And how you overcome.
I find yelling a lot helps.
That does work. I found that yelling and swearing.
But yeah,
I mean, at the start of a mission or at the start of a scenario, you might not know what enemies are about, and there is something to be said about, okay, well, this one clearly has a lot of trolls or whatever, and I know that maybe one type of unit is better against them than the other, and you won't know that until you just play through it and just see what the enemy's got. Yeah.
Maybe you start the whole scenario on an island and you build up a massive army that can't get off the island.
Well, you have definitely claimed that island. That is your island.
Yeah, I could have sat there and just like chopped every tree down and sucked the gold right out of the ground, and I would have been absolutely fine on that island. It would have been my little space.
And then Brian builds a bridge out of peasants to get his army across, and
I couldn't even send the peasants to die.
See, that completely ruined your day.
Exactly. I had to stop the scenario. I had to throw away my computer like Ron Swanson, and that was just over.
Oh, man. One last quick thing is the music is brilliant. Like, they really went above and beyond on music for this game, especially for, you're taking full advantage of, a PC with a sound card and stuff at the time. So
Sound Blaster card, to be exact.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know how it was on the Saturn, but like the music in this game is incredible, and especially
it was actually,
like if you.
It was really good. Like, I can actually hear it now in my head.
Yeah,
and it's very bombastic and epic and just, but at the same time not overly encroaching, if that makes sense. It's just
RTSs have to have like that fine balance of music. It's like RPGs when you're going through the world map. It has to be the right type of music 100%. That you can listen to on repeat, because you're going to listen to it on repeat.
Oh, gotcha.
But at the same time doesn't like overwhelm you or become your sole focus. And I did find a couple of times playing the game, the music was going harder than I was. Like I'd be sitting like just building up my town area, and the music would be like epic battle music, and I'm sitting there chopping trees.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is fine. I mean, the music didn't annoy me, but I just found that funny.
them
That was one of the
trees.
things I noticed right away.
I just thought it was really good, like kind of orchestral,
A little bit of
almost.
jazz, some
Just,
classical.
yeah, a little bit of jazz, some classical, and it just always seemed to fit. At least for me, anyway. You know, I didn't get battle music when I was chopping down trees.
Well, it's not battle music. It's just it was a little harder than what I was doing.
Yeah,
A little more epic for the task at hand.
it was epic right the way through.
It's like doing your tasks to rock music. Sorry, doing your taxes to rock music.
I mean, that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah. Okay, fair point. That was not a good analogy.
I do everything to rock music.
Oh my god, I gotta go take a shit. Dun dun dun. Anyways, I
Absolutely.
can't think of a rock song to air guitar right now.
I'm just going to sample that next time I need to go. just clip that out for me. Oh boy, we've lost the plot.
Yeah, I think we're at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long one. This is not a quick play for sure.
No.
It's just like it's one that you sit with for a while. It's a game that you can play. You know, if you enjoy this type of gameplay, it's a game that you can get a lot out of and play a lot. You know, play over time. I'm sure with this kind of reskin that they did, I wonder if they put the servers back up for. So I don't know if they ever shut the servers down, but you could play this online probably still today, and there's probably still people playing it. I mean, I can't substantiate that because I haven't tried, but you know,
I think that would be the fastest way to make me hate this game if I had to play it with
you
other
just
people.
get your ass handed to you. Yeah, I mean,
all day long.
Yeah, the remaster did actually includes modern server support. So.
Okay, yeah, well that's pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, again, there's no like ranking system. This is pretty rudimentary. This was back when like you'd have to shut down your phone lines at home and dial up and you know
Dad,
sit there
I'm
for
on
like
the computer,
5
don't pick up the phone.
yeah, just like beat the shit out of each other for 5 hours on one map. Yeah, it's man, what a game. I don't know, boys, should we score this thing?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, we've been waiting for you to get to that.
Well, you guys kept talking. So
You're like, it's like you're chopping trees here.
Yeah, just let you guys go, you know. All right. You know what, Alan? You took one for the team and you played it on the Saturn. So why don't you go first and tell us what you thought?
All right. Yeah, no problem. I mean, as for like playing on the Sega Saturn, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time. You know what? I like this game. I really do. And having no experience with anything Warcraft, you know, it's one of those things that's just so hyped these days that I'm worried that is this actually going to be any good, or am I going to like experience that same level of enjoyment having sort of no nostalgic ties to it? I have played a couple of RTSs in the past, but I wouldn't say I'm the most experienced. But what I found playing this was just, you know, it is fairly basic, but that's great for somebody like me because you know, I feel like I'm still dipping my toes in the genre. So, you know, everything kind of made sense. Like, I was dead impressed with the little opening cutscenes and the CGI and it having voice acting and stuff like that. I was like, okay, here we go. You know, I could get on board with this. The music is going and it's just, oh, right, okay, there's a war afoot and I'm going to be part of it. Brilliant. You know, visually, it's not the best looking game in the world, but they rarely are because, as I said, all the moving parts, you know, you've got to have something sacrificed to have that many units without that any sort of slowdown. The thing with a game like this, due to its simplicity, it kind of feels like, and this is probably going to sound weird, but it's the sort of game that I equate to like sitting and just like doing a jigsaw. You know, it's so chill, and I don't even mind losing when I'm playing a game like this because it's just like, oh well, you know what, I'll try something different next time and see what the outcome is. It's the sort of game that I can just see myself popping on a scenario, maybe a nice glass of whiskey or something, and just seeing how it goes, and then just like, you know what, that was fun. Maybe in a a month or two, I'll try another one and just take it my own pace. It just seems very relaxing, and I don't know. Maybe now I am a Warcraft fan. Who knows? I would definitely, absolutely play this one again. I'd like to see it through to the end. I wish I had played more, and again, I don't still to this day know much about the story and the world of Warcraft. Generally speaking, like for these kind of games, I don't really care about the story. It's just like I have an army, they have an army, so that's all I need to know. But who knows? Maybe I'll get more of the lore down the line. But I think let's score this. Probably, I don't know. I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.5, which I feel like is my second one of those in a row. But it's just like it did nothing to like blow my mind. But it's just like, you know what, this is a nice little enjoyable game. Like, I can see myself, getting into this and yeah, every so often. I don't know, I'm just rambling now, but good game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good score. All right, Brian, what do you think? I'll round it out.
Well, yeah. What can I say about the game? For me, it's not my flavor of RTS game, but at the same time, it's kind of like a pizza. It's still pizza, so I enjoy it, and I am going to finish the game. I find it not as good as StarCraft 2 or Command and Conquer, but it still has a lot going for it. There is some gripes I do have about it, and I guess talking it out here, maybe I'm just pissing into the wind at sometimes and just getting myself splashed here. But the units at the beginning of the game when they're equal power, I think we've determined there that it might just be me not upgrading my units fast enough. Having said that, the remaster looks really good. I'm not going to talk about the original, because if I suggest anybody plays this, it's going to be on PC through Battle.net, and get yourself the remaster, because that is just a better way to play it, because it looks great on modern technologies. The music in the game I really like. We've already talked about that. Not going to really go into that too much, but the game itself, obviously, one of the gripes is the characters on both sides are the same stats for the most part, and I really wish they'd put a little bit of variety at the early game, because having to make it all the way to a paladin or whatever level that is before you really get a difference between the two sides is a little bit frustrating. It just makes you feel like you're playing the same game from a different skinned characters, and it's again not something that's going to really affect the score, because that's just the flavor of the time. And also, like I said about the story cutscenes being in between, and there just being a wall of text thrown at you with a really good narrator, but nothing to do except for stare at them. And if you have the patience for it, all the better to you, but I just don't. Not anymore. I need to be doing something to occupy my brain, because it has been absolutely turned to mush by modern social media technology that forces me to always have that dopamine dump. Again, I'm not going to knock a point off for that. In fact, I'm not going to knock a lot of points off. I'm just going to go general how much fun I had with it compared to other RTSs I've played throughout my life. And it's going to be mostly Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, Command and Conquer series, stuff like that. I've never been a Warcraft guy, and I don't know why. I think it just kind of kept getting tucked into the backlog as a new RTS came out. I do, however, love RTSs simply for being able to sit there and just play a game while not having to rush to think about the next action, because I am very much a Twitch gamer. I'm not good at fighting games because I can't think very fast about what my button combos need to be, and I know it just comes down to training, but at least this one I can really think about what I'm doing and strategize on it. I'm going to go a little higher than Alan. I'm going to go an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
Simply because graphically, the music, all that stuff is great. How much fun I had with it was quite a bit, but at the same time, it's just not as good as some of the other ones I've played.
And so your opinion is far more valid, because you're the RTS guy. So I'm just talking out my arse. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, now we're all RTS guys.
Yes. Retrotopia, something. I can't think of the rest of the acronym. Somebody help me out.
Sex machines. I don't know.
Works with RTS. Perfect. Next, move on.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to what you guys said. I do really enjoy this game from a, just the nostalgia tints it a little bit, because I really don't have a problem with the graphics or the presentation. I can forgive a lot of the warts of the game just because I love it. But I'm not going to give it a perfect score, even though it is one of my favorite games. I definitely understand that we've moved past this point in time. If you are going to play it, yeah, like Brian said, maybe pick up the remaster. And I'm really, really happy that Blizzard has finally figured out a way to make this game and the original Warcraft 1 available in both its original and kind of up-resed version. So you can play Warcraft 1 also. This is a little off topic, but I mean, it runs it through a DOS box, and you're able to play it on like a small little window screen. But if you play the up-resed version, it's the same gameplay, it just looks better. Same with Warcraft 2. Finally, those came out. I originally was able to pick this back up again when it came out on GOG, and I was like, I hadn't played it for years because there was no way to play it. So finally it's available again. If you're interested at all, I would just say, yeah, it's worth playing. It's worth kind of even just going back to see, like, if you're a Warcraft fan, or there's obviously nowadays there's far more people that are aware of Warcraft and they think of World of Warcraft. I still am of the camp that you say Warcraft, I'm thinking about this game, which is a little odd, I think, as far as, the cultural milieu. All right, now I'm getting off topic. I'm going to go ahead. I don't have anything else to add to what you guys said. I'm going to give this an 8.5. Just because I understand it's not a perfect game, but it's a game I love. I could go as high as like a 9, but, it's one of my favorite games despite being imperfect, and I'm willing to accept that.
Beautiful. And you dropped a milieu, which is very impressive.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that. That got me going.
Yeah, the word zeitgeist gets thrown around too much. I don't like that word. It's annoying.
Yeah, it's lost its appeal.
Yeah.
Man, I was looking on Good Old Games here just to see if Warcraft was still on there, which it's not, by the way.
Delisted.
But in doing so, I found a game called Knights and Merchants, which I used to play all the time.
Interesting.
Ah.
Another RTS?
Yeah, it's another RTS. Not as in-depth as Age of Empires, but it's still a goddamn fun game.
That's cool.
And let me guess, you save all the knights and you kill all the merchants, yeah?
Pretty much. It's basically a town building game with, soldier units to go take out a bad guy.
Oh my god, that looks really familiar.
I
might have played this.
I know I've played it before. I used to have it on CD back when those were a thing, but I remember loving this game.
And
I know it's like right off topic now, but
that is why I got Warcraft on GOG, because that's how it was available at first when it first became available again, and then Blizzard picked it up and did this remaster, and I think that's where
that's one thing I'm really annoyed at is Blizzard locking their stuff behind their BattleNet.
Right, yeah.
It just I have Steam, I have Epic, I have GOG, I have BattleNet, I have EA, I have all those different friggin' programs on my computer, but they all want priority. So when you start the computer, they start all opening. So then you have to turn that off. And it's just like, fucking put it all in one place. This is the reason people went back to pirating movies, is because Netflix was the answer to that. Then everybody got goddamn greedy.
Yep. No, when I boot up my PC, it's like GOG jumps up and Steam jumps up and BattleNet jumps up. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I've had to, I go into my settings and I make sure that the startup programs are just what I absolutely need and use. So it's like Discord is the only thing that is not part of Windows that starts up right away.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. But anyways, yeah, that's it. 7.5 and 8 and an 8.5 for Warcraft 2. Hopefully maybe someday down the line we can talk about Warcraft 3. Warcraft 1 I might consider throwing a quick play out there at some point if I can get around to playing around with that. I don't think it's worth a full episode, but definitely thanks guys. Thanks for indulging me with Warcraft. That was
Yeah,
was a good time.
pick.
Yeah,
Good
I'm gonna
pick.
be. I will be continuing throughout to kind of play this game as the year goes. I'd like to finish both campaigns and maybe start tackling the expansions, but it is what it is. For now, we're gonna call it a day here. Go to linktree/Retrotopia for all of our stuff. Join the Patreon if you'd like. Tell your friends. We're starting to see some growth here, so we really appreciate everyone who's a patron, who's a listener, who is a future listener, who goes back and listens. Just all of you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and send my peon and my peasant, Alan, Brian. You're going to go off to the enemy because I have enough gold now. So see ya.
Hi there, everyone. We here at Retrotopia couldn't do what we do without the support of our Patreons. And to that effect, we would like to shout out the heroes at our hero tier. So a huge Retrotopia thank you from all of the hosts here to Guy Who Does Things, Joe Frigger, Shadowblaze511, Dan Torma, Brian Heng, Sharkbite, Brian Spritzer, Ovindley, Shane's World, Brother Retro, H, Raging Demon, Old Man Gamer, Game Genius, Dylan Jacobson, The Big Deal, Mr. Blobbert Blobbertstein, King Hooli III, Calin Higas, Radmac, Fallen Snow Kiku, Stud Still Smash, Sergeant Ombre, Big Brown Dog, Jack Datchler, Unbuckled Cape, Wildcard, Super Dave, Sir Bustsalot, Big Kid 782, David Hendley, Chris Kaplane, J Nasty 15, Because 19, Randy Berridge, Makeshift Money, and Andrew Wright. So thanks as always for your support, guys. It truly means the world to us and means we can keep doing this little thing that we love so much. Game on.